There is a word on the tip of your tongue. You know this word. You have known this word your entire life. It is a completely ordinary word, not technical, not obscure, the kind of word you have used hundreds of times without thinking. It is gone. You sit there, staring at the sentence you were trying to write, and the word is simply not there. Where it should be, where it has always been, there is nothing. A clean, smooth, empty space where a thought used to live. You wait. You try to approach it from a different angle. Think around it. Think toward it. The way you might try to see a faint star by looking slightly to the side. Nothing. This is not tiredness. You know what tiredness feels like. Tiredness is fixed by sleep. You have slept. You slept last night and the night before and the night before that. You have done almost nothing but rest for, you try to calculate how long. And the calculation itself takes longer than it should, slips away from you mid-thought, and you have to start again. This is not tiredness. This is something that arrived in the wake of a virus that most people recovered from in 2 weeks and decided to stay. This is what they call brain fog. And the word brain fog is so soft, so vague, so gently meteorological that it captures almost nothing of what this actually is. Because fog implies temporary. Fog implies it will burn off by afternoon. This hasn't burned off. It has been 7 months. You need to understand who you were before, because the before matters. You were sharp, not in an arrogant way, just functionally, reliably sharp. You read quickly, you retained things, you could hold 3 threads of a conversation simultaneously and follow all of them. You were good at your job in the specific way that involved thinking fast and connecting ideas that weren't obviously connected. Your brain was something you relied on without thinking about relying on it, like a car that always starts. You never stood next to it in the cold, wondering if today would be the day it didn't. Then you got COVID. Not badly. That's the thing that still catches in your throat when you try to explain this to people. Not badly. You weren't hospitalized. You weren't on oxygen. You had a fever for 4 days, exhaustion, a cough. By the standards of the pandemic, you were one of the lucky ones. 2 weeks later, you were technically recovered, except your brain didn't get the message. You wake up and the fog is already there. Not always. In the early months, you had windows of clarity, and those windows were almost worse than the fog itself because they showed you exactly what you'd lost by, briefly giving it back. Now the fog is more consistent, a permanent low ceiling on your own thinking. You lie there, running a quiet diagnostic. How bad today? You've developed a scale, not clinical, just personal. A 1 is manageable. A 5 means you should not drive, should not make important decisions, should not attempt anything that requires you to hold more than one idea at a time. Today feels like a 3. You get up, make coffee. Stand in the kitchen for a moment holding the mug before realizing you've forgotten whether you already put coffee in it. You have. You can see it. But the 2-second gap between making it and holding it has vanished as though it never existed. You used to read the news in the morning. Proper reading, long articles, complex arguments, following a thread through several thousand words and arriving at the end with a formed cheapening pew. You tried that last week, got 4 paragraphs in and realized you'd retained nothing. Started again, got 3 paragraphs in, gave up. You scroll now instead. Short things, sentences. Your brain can manage sentences. You don't tell people you can't read properly anymore. It's one of the losses that feels too exposing to explain. Your job involves thinking. Most jobs involve thinking, but yours involves thinking specifically. Precision, sequencing, holding a complex structure in your mind while you build it. Before, this was the part of the job you were good at, the part that didn't feel like work. Now you sit in front of your screen and the structure won't form. You open a document you wrote 6 months ago, before, and read it like it was written by someone else, someone faster, someone who could move between ideas without losing the thread. You recognize your own writing style, but not the ease behind it. Meetings are their own specific challenge. Following a fast conversation, multiple voices, overlapping threads, the need to process what someone just said while simultaneously formulating a response, this is cognitively expensive, even for a healthy brain. For yours right now, it is like trying to run software on a machine that doesn't have enough processing power. You nod. You take notes obsessively. Not because you want to, because without the notes, the conversation will be partially gone within minutes. You have become dependent on notes, the way you used to be dependent on memory. Your colleagues don't know. You've performed competence so consistently for so long that the performance itself is now one of the most exhausting things you do. The fog has a way of peaking that catches you off guard even now, even after months of learning its patterns. Overstimulation is the trigger, too much sensory input, too many demands arriving simultaneously, and what was a 3 becomes a 5, becomes something that doesn't have a number. You are in a supermarket, mid-afternoon, doing something you've done hundreds of times. List in hand. You always have a list now. Lists are infrastructure, moving through the aisles. Someone stops you, a colleague, friendly, unexpected. They start talking, and you smile and respond, and inside, your brain is doing something that feels like buffering. The words are arriving, the processing is happening, but there is a delay, half a second, a full second, between hearing something and understanding it, between understanding it and forming a reply. You used to think people who seemed slightly slow in conversation were distracted or uninterested. You understand now. The colleague asks about a work project. You know this project. You have been working on this project for 3 weeks. You open your mouth, and the specific word, the name of the project, a name you use daily, is not there. It's going well, you say. They seem satisfied. They move on. You stand in the cereal aisle for a moment after they leave, list in hand, suddenly unsure what you came to this aisle for. This is a Tuesday afternoon. This is just a Tuesday. The hardest part isn't the fog itself. The hardest part is the grief of knowing exactly what you've lost. Neurological conditions that erase memory, mercifully, also erase the awareness of the erasure. Long COVID brain fog is crueler than that. Your intelligence is largely intact. Your self-awareness is intact. You know precisely how you used to think. You remember the speed and ease of it with complete clarity. You are aware in real time of every gap, every lost word, every conversation you couldn't follow, every article you couldn't finish, every moment you caught yourself standing in a room having completely forgotten why you entered it, and felt not just confused, but diminished. Like something essential was chipped away, and the chip is visible only to you. The mental health cost of this is significant and under-discussed. The rates of depression and anxiety in long COVID patients are high, and the causality runs in both directions. The fog causes psychological distress. The psychological distress makes the fog worse. The cycle compounds. And underneath all of it, the not being believed. 7 months in, you have encountered more than one doctor who has suggested this might be anxiety, who has said the scans look normal, who has used the word functional in a tone that meant something closer to imaginary. Your scans may look normal. The damage in long COVID brain fog operates at a level current standard imaging often cannot detect. That absence of visible evidence is not the same as absence of condition. You know what your brain used to be able to do? You know what it can do now. That gap is real. It is measurable in your daily life in 100 specific ways, even if it is not yet fully measurable on a scan. Careers derailed mid-stride. Relationships strained by a version of you that is slower, quieter, less present than the person people knew. The social withdrawal that comes, not from wanting to be alone, but from the sheer cognitive cost of company. The identity loss. This is the one that doesn't get written about enough. When your brain is the thing you've always relied on, the thing you built your professional identity around, the thing that made you, you, and that thing becomes unreliable. The question of who you are in its absence is not a small question. It sits with you, quietly, at 2 a.m. when sleep won't come, in the supermarket cereal aisle, at the desk in front of the document you can't finish. Who am I if I can't think like I used to think? 9 p.m. You close the laptop. You didn't finish what you were working on. You got further than yesterday. That's the metric now. Not completion, not quality, not the standard you held yourself to before. Further than yesterday. The fog researchers are working. There are studies. There are treatment trials. There are clinicians who believe you, more of them than there were a year ago, more than there were 2 years ago. The science is moving. You are not the person you were before the virus, but you are learning, slowly, reluctantly, with significant grief, who you are now. And on the good days, the one days, the days when the ceiling lifts and the words come back and you finish a thought without losing it mid-sentence, on those days, you remember exactly what your brain can do, and you hold on to that.